bloodsuckers.
As you walk through the valley of the shadow of hell,
Join us!
you will realize that there is something ahead. Something that lurks behind the dark veil.
We have such sights to show you.
A veil that is beyond our own comprehension.
I'm just gonna bash your brains.
Beyond the void.
What's up, guys, and welcome back from our grave vacation to Beyond the Void
Horror Podcast.
That's right, we're back for a brand new episode 164, and today we're going to be doing a couple of holiday horror movies, at least holiday sort of themed for the most part, one of them more so than the other.
They're holiday themed. They're holiday.
I mean, one, but we're going to be doing a movie called Deadly Games. It has several different names. It was actually 3615 Code Pierre Noël in France, and that one's from 1989, and we're also going to be talking about
Dead End from 2003.
That's right. That's the loose one, guys. So, but yeah, we're back. Holy shit. It's been a month.
Yeah.
Yeah. I took a little bit of a longer vacation, guys, because I'll be honest, wasn't much of a vacation, especially right off the bat. To be honest, the entire vacation that I've had, I've literally been on the phone and talking to the cable internet support and tech support guys who came out here for weeks. I was on the phone with like video game support for a game that's not working right on my computer, and that there's very few of us are having issues. I've been on the support with those people, plus the people who make the sound, the external sound card for my new computer.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that problem.
Then we decided that, we would I pressured Christina into taking the leap.
You decided.
Yes. No, she decided ultimately if we were going to get a new TV, and of course,
and it was Black Friday, so
yeah.
I was like, oh god, that is like really cheap.
So we decided to take the plunge into the 4K realm. Got a brand new TV that got shipped here like 4 days ago, last Wednesday for you guys, and then when it got here, the screen was fucking cracked.
Right.
On one side, and you could see damage to the fucking box where something impacted it on the front.
And they delivered it like that.
And they delivered it like that. So I had to be on tech support for that. And now we've got our mixer, which it's actually working for the time being. That's going out too. So that's an additional couple $100. So we're really excited about the vacation that we had.
Never take a break again.
Yeah, apparently not. But I was ready to almost just say, fuck it. I've been so stressed out with all that stuff, dude. That has not been how I did. But we did have some fun in there. We got to watch a lot of movies. Our living room is now in our bedroom now because we were preparing for the new TV. So, and I refused to put the fucking TV
the old
back.
TV back.
Yeah, because we're gonna get a new TV. They're gonna replace it, by the way. So, but I refused to move the fucking television that's heavy as shit, and you couldn't lift 3 times.
No, again, I didn't want that TV in the living room.
I don't care. Any TV. I don't want to lift 3 TVs.
So I watched TV from my computer in the morning. It's awesome. It's amazing.
I am not doing any extra work on their account. Fuck them. Fuck life. No, we watched some fun movies and stuff. We went to and had our Thanksgiving, and hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving too. We this is a little bit of the drier time of the season for horror, for some people, for the majority of people. But for us, like crazy hounds that we are, we look forward to it because we get to watch all these crazy horror movies.
And we bought a bunch of Blu-rays and DVDs. You can watch them on
new thing.
Yeah, you reviewed them on your YouTube.
We got some in the mail too that are coming in the next couple of days, so they'll hit the next horror movie haul video, which I'm excited about because got some cool shit.
Black Friday deals.
No, that wasn't a Black Friday deal, actually.
Oh, I forgot.
That was an October flash sale.
Oh, whatever. Same thing.
Yeah, well, Vinegar Syndrome anyway. But we didn't even get the new Spookies movie that came out on Blu-ray. I was kind of excited about. But, I mean, that movie's not that great, but it would be cool to have at some point. But I'm not going to, we got a box set coming and a new 4K from them.
And
their first 4K at Vinegar Syndrome.
And some other DVDs and Blu-rays. We didn't do our giveaway box last month.
Oh, yeah, I know. Well, things were pretty stressful there for a little while.
Right.
I think when we were about to take the break and stuff.
What?
So what we decided to do is...
We're going to give away 2 boxes. We're going to give one away this week.
Yep.
And we're going to, right now, and we're going to give one away next week.
That's right.
So make sure you go on to longlivethevoid.com and sign up for our VIP club to enter.
For the next one. So we're going to do one now. We're going to pick somebody and we're going to write that person. What we're going to do now is I'm scrolling viciously up and down and I need you to come over here and just pick it real quick.
Okay. Oh, for real?
Yeah, for real. I'm not just making shit up. I want you to pick it. By the way, guys, while she's getting her ass over here, if you want to sign up for this, we got another one we're going to give away next week. So we're going to send out 2 packages, so you still have a chance to win if you haven't signed up for the podcast VIP club link. You can go to longlivethevoid.com and just check out our VIP club and sign up there. It's on the front of the page as well as longlivethevoid.com. So if you open it up, you'll see it right there, and you can fill it out. So we're going to go ahead and tell me when to stop. Looks like we got Brittany, and I can't say her last name because I don't know if she'd want me to share that or not, but Brittany is the winner of this week's VIP club, so we're going to have a huge box full of Blu-rays and DVDs and fun stuff in there for you, so thank you so much for being a big part of the podcast that we have here. We really do greatly appreciate you guys listening, so if you haven't signed up,
do it now.
Do it now because you could still win. So hopefully she'll get back to us in a couple of days. Thank you guys so much for being a part of the podcast. Welcome back. And don't forget, guys, if you aren't inside the United States, it's still cool. We won't send you out a box of goodies, but we will get you an Amazon gift card so that you can pick something up for yourself. Plus, we'll send you the code and everything so you can just pick it up instantly, really. So it won't even take time to send it out to you. But yeah, thanks again, Brittany. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
All right.
I hope you enjoy.
It's really good to be back, guys. I feel like taking a break was really tough for me. It took me weeks to just get into the mode of not doing something. And even still on vacation,
Well, you still had to do stuff.
I had
the website.
Yeah, I had to keep up the website. Yeah.
The videos. It was just a break from the podcast, really.
Right. But yeah, I'm glad to be back. So I think it might be that time, Christina.
Oh, shit.
Horrorshots! Okay, guys, so we're back, and we are going to do our horror shots. I decided to pick one of the two. It was a little weird because one of the movies is about, like, the kid and stuff. It just felt a little weird to try to do a fucking...
Oh, alcoholic shot.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. And this one seemed a little bit easier. So we picked Dead End as our horror shot for this week. We're calling this one An Endless Holiday Road, which is essentially an old-fashioned shot with like a twist, a seasonal kind of flair to it. I found something and then added some ingredients to it to make it a little bit different too. So what you're essentially going to need for this is you're going to need any kind of bourbon whiskey, Grand Marnier, pumpkin puree.
Ugh.
I know it sounds weird, but maple syrup, like the real maple syrup if you can. If not, just use the regular stuff. And a dash of cinnamon. So essentially, you're going to need 1.5 ounces of bourbon whiskey. You put that in a mixer with ice. 1/2 ounce of Grand Marnier. 1 tablespoon of pumpkin puree. 1.5 ounce of maple syrup if you can measure that out.
Eyeball it.
Right. Then you can shake that up. You pour it out in the drink, and then you give a dash of cinnamon on top. You could even, if you were crafty, do the rim of the shot with cinnamon.
Ah. And put some cinnamon sticks in that shit.
I mean, you could stir it with
And
that.
you
It
could
was
stir it with the cinnamon stick.
right, yeah. I mean, people do that.
I kind of want to try that one.
It sounded really good. So like I looked one of it up and then kind of mixed up the ingredients
and
a
then
little
put
bit.
in some pumpkin puree.
Right. and really what you want to do is you kind of like this one's the one they had said like do an orange peel as a garnish, but I thought it'd be kind of fun if you just did it with like a candied like orange, like one of those candy oranges treats.
The sugar
Yeah,
candy.
I just thought it'd be fun. But then when you shake the shot, you say, bang, bang, you're dead. Which is a quote from the movie, by the way. So I won't say and spoil it yet. But so what do you think, Christina? Would you drink it?
I think I would.
Yeah? Okay.
I was a little iffy about that pumpkin puree, but I think I might want to try that.
I think it sounds great. Like I think it would be a really good shot. I almost feel like this would be something that you could mix into like coffee. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? Like if you took all of that ingredients and then put it in a shot, like as a shot in your coffee, like it would be even better. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I don't know. Just thought it was seasonal. So
Right.
But anyway, that's it for Horrorshots. So now it's time for us to jump into our flesh and
potatoes. Yum.
of our holiday horror with Deadly Games from 1989 and
Dead End 2003.
and we're going to go ahead and do that
Right now.
All right, guys, we're going to kick it off with in chronological order of when the movies came out because Deadly Games is a movie that has like 7 fucking names. Jesus Christ.
Oh my God.
I think what it is just like such an underground kind of gem in a way that like every country had a different name for it, you know? So it's like.
And they had to get it out there. So.
Right. Like, and they probably can't. It's a mess. Like I've seen movies with different names, but this seems like the biggest.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. Like I don't even understand. Like, and there's no consensus.
Right.
Like,
and I didn't even write down Deadly Games.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. So
I had 3 other names.
So this movie is also originally called 3615 Code Pierre Noel, but it's also called Deadly Games on Shudder. It's Alamo Drafthouse, which is actually airing this live at their theaters for one night across the country, I'm pretty sure, in the U.S., is calling it Dial Code Santa Claus, which is closer to the original, which 3615 is the code that you would dial Santa Claus. I think Pierre Noel means Santa Claus or North Pole. But anyway, IMDb, of course, calls this movie Game Over. So it's like, fucking Christ, man. Like, pick one, somebody. But it is a French film, and the story is Thomas, a very intelligent and resourceful child, is left alone with his beloved fragile granddad on Christmas Eve when a psychopath dressed as Santa Claus breaks into their castle more like, and starts chasing them around. Thomas will do whatever he can to save himself and his granddad. A lot of people feel like this movie was ripped off by Home Alone, by the way, because this movie came out a year before that movie. This is very similar. We'll get into that a little bit more. Like Home Alone was inspired directly from this movie.
So weird. I don't think so.
I don't know. That's what they say.
Okay.
You want to tell the people they're wrong?
You're wrong.
Anyway, it's directed and written by Rene Manzour, who worked on a lot of young Indiana Jones TV shows and movies. He also did a movie called Total Blackout, Deadly Nightmares, a.k.a. The Hitchhiker TV series, who the guy who plays Santa in this movie actually was the main star of.
Oh.
Some of the cast is Brigitte Fossé, who is Julie the mom. She started in acting in the 50s as a child actress, by the way, and she was in movies like Forbidden Games, Crime and Punishment TV movie, Femme Fatales, Enigma from 1982, Cinema Paradiso, Chiller TV series, and plenty of TV and French film. So, we also have Louis Decroix, or Decroix. I don't know how to say it properly in French, so he goes by Poppy, who is Grandpa in this movie. He's been in things all the way back to 1938, with a movie called Heartbeat. He also did The World Will Shake, Zoo from 1988, and a few more. Not a lot, but he's been around since 1938 doing stuff.
Wow, that's a long time.
Yeah, like he did 8 things or something like that.
Is he still alive?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. He was really old in the movie.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyway, we also have Patrick Floresheim, who plays Santa Claus, the crazy one. He started his career in a movie called The Destructors in 1974. He was also in Moonraker, the original. He was also in a movie called Diva, the Murders in Rue Morgue TV movie from 1986, the Hitchhiker TV show, as I had mentioned before. He was also in Roman Polanski's film called Frantic with Harrison Ford. He also did voice work in a lot of video games as well, including the Dune video game, which I'm like, wait, they had a Dune video game? I don't remember this. So now I don't know. I didn't look into it any further, but I kind of
like what year? Like what?
I think it was like
Do you think it was like the 90s?
I don't know. I think it was probably early 90s or something like that.
Yeah, okay.
But probably a French, like the French language version,
right.
You know what I mean? Plus he did work in 1999 game with David Bowie called Omicron, the Nomad Soul, which came out on Dreamcast, by the way, which I had. And it is also on PC. Yeah. Well, I own the game. Well, yeah, I love the fucking Dreamcast,
yeah, I know
man.
you do. You always talk about it.
It's but it is the one game that David Bowie did, and his music is in the movie where he plays like this rock star in this weird meta game where you transcend into different dimensions and different consciousness. It's really weird. But he's done quite a few games, actually, this guy Patrick Floresheim, and a lot more. But he did die on March 4th, 2016, so just recently, 3 years ago, I guess. Also stars Elaine Lalani, who is Thomas the Boy. He actually is a pretty big visual effects producer now, and he's worked on Edge of Tomorrow, Avatar, Dark Phoenix, San Andreas, Lost in Space, the Netflix TV show, American Gods he did an episode in. In fact, he's acted in only 3 roles.
Isn't that crazy? Well, it's not crazy, but it's good that he found an outlet and he was able to stick with
it
movies.
just wasn't for him. He was like, hell yeah, I'm not going to pass up opportunity to act. He was like, he enjoyed movies, obviously, so he wanted to be a part of it behind the scenes a little bit. But he did a movie called The Passage and an episode of a TV show called Tales of the Wild for just the one episode, so really not a lot. But there is no record on how much this movie cost and was made for. I did search for some like interviews with the director, and I found a few like little things, like they had a showing of this back in 2017 because they just did this German Blu-ray for it, surprisingly, and made it look nice and stuff, which is pretty much going to be the print that everybody gets to see moving forward, but probably the same one that's on Shudder right now. Which is the one thing that I love about Shudder and Amazon is that they don't care what region it's in.
Oh, they'll play it no matter.
Right.
Well, they can play it.
So you can see movies that are in HD that you wouldn't be able to buy in the United States,
right?
Or even rent, for that matter.
That's cool.
I don't know how they get away with it, but apparently this movie premiered at the Leon Film Festival of Youth and Children's Films. I mean, I wouldn't say this movie's a children's movie, but there is some pretty freaky shit in there, for kids. I'm like, But, then again, maybe it's different because it's France.
But yeah, and I mean, if a kid saw this and a kid was beating a psychopath, you know what I mean? I mean, that might be
encourage them to beat psychopaths.
Yeah, you could take them.
Yeah, kids, get out there and get dangerous. So, Christina, what did you think about this movie that I pushed onto you?
Well, when you told me we were going to be watching this film...
Well, I asked you. I said, what do you think of this?
I know, and I was just kind of like, oh, God, another old movie. And then it's like, oh, it's a Christmas horror movie, too. Oh, God, this is going to be horrible. But I was actually pleasantly surprised with it. I really liked the story. Mm-hmm. I loved the relationship between the kid and the grandpa. Mm-hmm. I really, really liked that. The grandpa just really looked up to him and respected him, even though, how old is he? Like 12 or something?
Yeah, I think he was. No, I think he was younger than that.
10?
Probably.
Maybe it was 10.
Between 10 or 11.
Yeah, somewhere around there. And it was just nice to see, like, when the son would tell him, like, there's a psychopath and blah, blah, blah. Like, the usually in movies, the adult will just tell the child, oh, it's just your imaginary friend. You're just making up. No, Grandpa totally believed him.
Yeah, they
Didn't
were like
even
best
question
friends
him.
in the movie.
Yeah, it was really good. It was kind of suspenseful too.
Did you feel like do you really feel like it's a horror movie though? I'm curious what you think of that. Because I know a lot of people are going to debate that.
Well, I mean, there were moments where even as a kid, I would think people would be scared in some of the moments. Was it gory? I don't remember.
There was one scene in
there was
particular,
one
but we
scene.
can't talk about what it is.
Yeah, we won't talk about it, but there was one scene. So I could see how this could be categorized as a horror movie.
Okay.
Yeah,
I mean, it definitely rides the line. Mm-hmm. It does have a few kind of thriller feel to it, but also kind of like heartfelt weird too.
Yeah, it was really heartfelt.
What'd you think of the Santa? Like, who played the Santa? Did you think he was creepy?
I thought he did a good job. I don't know if he was creepy, but he made me uncomfortable.
Right.
Like, kind of like in other movies like Transients and stuff, where it's like the creepy guys like just showing up, and he was just pissed because like some stuff happened, so he broke into the mansion.
Right.
He's gonna get that kid. I'm gonna kill that kid.
Yeah, but did you feel bad for him at any point in time? Like,
I did in the beginning of the movie because of course he actually was a Santa Claus, like in a mall or a department store or something. Right. And one of the kids.
Well, I don't think he was legitimately one. I think he snuck in as one.
Yeah. But one of the kids who came up to him to see Santa Claus said something to him which ticked him off, and I did feel bad for him.
Right.
But you don't have to go. A bunch of other stuff happened. You don't have to go to that extreme.
Well, I don't think we're really spoiling too much, but essentially this guy gets picked on by kids, like, in a way. Like, he just wants to be a kid.
Right. And in the beginning of the movie, he was trying to play with the kids in the street, and the kids wouldn't play with him.
They, like, ran away from him when he, like, started to throw a snowball.
Yeah.
And it was kind of sad, right?
Yeah,
like,
it was sad. You do feel for him.
You feel a little for him, and I got a little piece that I have on that. But yeah, like, that's what initially, he doesn't, it's not like he just is, like, going around killing people in the beginning of the movie necessarily, but...
Which would have made it better.
Something happens that changes that. But when he does go creepy, like, ultra creepy, because he is kind of creepy either way.
Awkward.
You thought he was good in the role, though?
Yeah, I thought he was good. I think he did a good job.
What do you think about the kid?
I think the kid was awesome. I really believed him. I believed he was intelligent, like a really smart kid. Like even the kid had like computers and cameras. It was ridiculous.
There's a little bit of you got to have a little bit of a suspension of disbelief here in this movie,
right? It was 1989.
Yeah,
like and he had all this whole system set up, and it was. But I believed him. Like I believed this kid was capable of doing these things.
So let me ask you this. Do you think this is like Home Alone? Do you think you see some parallels to Home Alone in this? And is it better?
I haven't seen Home Alone in such a long time.
Yeah, but come on. You know what you feel.
Hold on. But I don't... the only correlation I see between the two movies is the guy breaking into the house and the kid defending the house.
Right, but it's not as funny.
No, it's not as funny. Yeah, Home Alone was funnier.
Yeah, this is creepy.
Yeah, this is just creepy. Like the Santa Claus did something to the dog, and I mean, like
that's what
that was
you.
Sad. Oh, and I totally forgot about the part because
she was like, "I'm done."
When you bring animals into it, I am triggered, and I leave. I'm done. I'm done. You could kill babies. You could kill.
Which we watched a movie recently.
We did.
Where they were stabbing baby. Well, you don't see them stab it actually in that movie, but it was like just a lot of babies got stabbed,
and both of us were like, "Yes," but. Touch the fucking dog. I'm done.
That's so funny. We really were.
We were.
We were watching this. I don't want to get into what the movie is because I don't want to spoil it, but we were watching this scene at the beginning of the movie, and they're just stabbing one baby after another, and we're like, yes! And it's not because we want babies to be stabbed. It's just because we never see that in movies.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like, wow, they really had the fucking...
The balls
the
to
lady
do that.
bits or man parts to fucking...
Right.
Knock that out of the park.
But anyway, the Santa Claus did something to that dog, and that made it. That's why I didn't. The only correlation with Home Alone I saw was just him breaking in, and there was a kid there.
Right, but could you see that it would be inspired? Like somebody saw it and was like, "Oh, I could make a fun thing about this and like make it fun."
I don't know. Maybe.
Okay. Because there's never been a movie like that before.
Right. I mean,
So-
it's coincidence they came out about the same time.
He sets
but,
up traps in the house.
there's been other movies of,
Okay.
have come out.
Right.
Like, what, Gremlins?
Well, isn't there like
Well,
that fucking, like, isn't there some fucking thing online where they talk about Kevin McAllister is actually the guy from Saw? Like, they kind of connect
Oh, I
the
haven't
two.
seen that. But that sounds interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I saw that one time. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about or if I'm getting it mixed up with something else, just tell me.
So what did you think about the movie? About Game Over Deadly Games?
We don't have to go over all the names. Yeah.
No, I was...
But first off, I've had a few friendly debates as of late about what is and what isn't horror with a few friends of mine. And regardless of where you feel horror belongs, I think we can all safely agree that horror doesn't always mean scary, right? You know what I mean?
Right, but wouldn't it be considered a thriller or suspense?
No, because, I mean, would you call Brain Dead, aka Dead Alive, not a horror because it's funny?
But there's a lot of gore.
It's a comedy, though.
Yeah, it is a comedy. It's a horror comedy.
Right, but it's still horror in
Right.
some degree. But anyway,
Sorry.
it doesn't always mean that, like, horror has to be supernatural. It's a pretty broad genre in a lot of examples that don't always fit neatly into the word horror, in my opinion. But in any case, I think that some movies, while not 100% horror, are still 100% appealing to people who like horror movies. And they may support those films even if they aren't horror. Because I've noticed, like when movies aren't exactly mainstream movies that aren't exactly horror appeal to a horror audience sometimes.
Oh, okay. I see
Do
what
you
you're
do you
saying.
understand what I'm saying?
Trying to think of an example.
I don't know. I'm not trying to excuse anything and say that this is a horror movie or anything like that, or that all films are horror or anything stupid like that.
We could make all.
But what I
films
am
horror.
saying is that horror fans have a very wide palette. It's not just like only horror.
That's true.
They are very interested in a myriad of different forms of cinema. They just, there's certain elements that are in place in certain movies that make it that way. And I think horror fans will like this movie because of that. So I just wanted to say it kind of fits for fans of horror in that regard, even though it's not scary necessarily. It's a little creepy and not ultra horror, like where everybody's getting murdered and you see, gore and shit like that. So,
But
now,
did you like the movie?
oh, well,
I'm just kidding. Getting to that.
first off, I was interested when I looked this up because I was just like looking for it. I was like, oh, I gotta see this, like, what the fuck is this? This is crazy. I've never even heard of this. And I'd heard that it was compared to Home Alone. A lot of people were saying, oh, this is what Home Alone stole from, something like that. So if that isn't interesting enough for you to want to watch this movie, which is what sold me, let me just tell you, the movie is actually a whole lot of fun. And the Santa guy, I personally feel, did a fucking amazing job. He's really creepy, and there's something wrong.
Right.
Crazy people make irrational decisions rational. Does that make sense? This isn't no Christmas Evil. One of my favorite holiday horror movies, by the way, guys, if you don't know. I think it had some similarities to it, though. Which is weird because, very loosely, by the way, don't take me to fucking court over this shit, okay?
It's like a different kind of Santa Claus crazy.
Right. But what I mean is that there is a little bit of sentimentalness in this movie that will make you kind of like Christmas spirity,
Oh, okay.
while also being kind of creepy, which is the essential thing about Christmas Evil and why I love it. It's both dynamics. This dichotomy of dynamics working together.
We haven't watched that this season yet.
We will. Don't you worry. I make you watch it every year. But yeah, I think it's very appealing to those people who might like that kind of, like Christmas Evil.
Right.
I think they might actually enjoy this movie.
Right.
So it also has like a weird, odd mix of like Richard Pryor's The Toy, because the rich kid who has like all these toys and like this large mansion that he's playing around in.
Oh, I've never seen that.
Oh, we need to watch that. But it's loosely there. It's just a little touches of things in there that I, wasn't, that I was just like, oh, it has a little feel like this and this and this, but it is a little over the top in the storytelling, but it works for this picture. It essentially a rich kid who lives in a castle, has all the toys, including the internet, surprisingly, from 1989, and even trapped doors in his sprawling 30,000 fucking square foot castle.
And they had like car phones and cell phones and
right. And he's got like he's really into Rambo, you can tell, and playing war with his grandfather. He has this particular passion for Santa Claus as well. Like he likes to imagine. He's a kid that likes to imagine, and for that reason, he also believes in Santa, which his parents and everybody talk about. Like, isn't he getting too old for that? You know? He's like out in the world, and he sees there's these signs everywhere with his best friend and stuff about calling Santa on the internet, which I thought it was just a phone number, but no, apparently it's a website that you're supposed to go to or something back in the day. So he gets on his computer at home, which no kid at that age probably had. Most kids.
Oh, I didn't. I was around that age at that time too, weren't you?
I don't remember too much about 89 and computers and stuff like that. I remember DOS. That's about it.
Right.
But he goes to his house to go on the internet, and they also even show while he's doing this at his house or at his friend's house or something. I don't know what they're doing. They have like an old laptop or something. But they also have one on the street. So like this internet cafe in the middle of the street that looks like an ATM machine.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was
Telemini or something.
It was just one of those, like at the mall, they would just have like a kiosk with the computer on it.
Right. I was like,
that's
what
it
the
was.
fuck?
And it was like a DOS system.
Right.
So it was weird.
It looked like an ATM though.
It did look like an ATM.
He dials up Santa on top of writing a letter. It just so happens that it's the crazy old man who keeps getting turned down by kids to play with him, and all he wants to do is play with kids. So somehow, either he's hacked into the system because it's early fucking days for the internet, which is probably just hitting enter or some dumb shit. It's not some like thing, but anyway, he's on the other end pretending to be Santa, and the kid's like, "Hey, what's your name?" He's like, "Don't you know?" Like, and he's like, "I'll hang up if you don't answer." Somehow he contacts Santa through this crazy guy, and then the crazy guy loses connection to the kid, but then through some happenstance finds out where he lives anyway. Just luckily, it happens to be the same kid through some other thing. I don't know how he did that. Somehow Santa finds out to go to this kid's house, and it happens to be the same kid, and then kills everyone in his path on the way to the little boy's house and inside the house and shit. But the little boy has quite the brain and hunts down Santa with traps, explosives, and all to the soundtrack of Bonnie Tyler's Merry Christmas, nonetheless. So, Merry Christmas!
That was, yeah.
Which one scene in this movie, guys, is fucking amazing. I was dying laughing. But yeah, to sum it up, it's pretty fun, guys. You aren't going to find oodles of gore and violence in this one, aside from that one scene that really shook Christina.
God.
But you will find a really well shot, over the top, kid versus creepy Santa showdown. In the storytelling of like a child, but a little darker than a child. It does have a few nods to some action movies of the 80s and a couple of really genuinely creepy moments with the Santa. You know, the guy playing Santa, like I mentioned before, is just fucking weird, and I don't know, his smile even.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Creepy. His eyes. He has those creepy eyes.
He definitely rides that line between crazy and slightly endearing at times. So it's an interesting mix. The kid, I thought, was pretty good too, as he kind of like navigates his practically blind grandpa through these fucking maze of like shit. I don't even know what the fuck. This is something that I think you should watch. I think that most people will get a kick out of it and enjoy it. It's not the best movie I've ever seen.
Good holiday movie.
It is a good holiday movie. It was a good surprise too. I'd probably give this one like a 7 or a 7.5. What about you?
Yeah, 7.
Yeah?
7 sounds good.
It's a little slow at times.
I wouldn't mind going to the Alamo and watching this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of tempted, but it depends where they have it at. I don't want to go all the way to fucking
Oh, no,
north.
it's down the street. It's at our Alamo.
It is that one?
It is,
Okay.
yeah, on a Tuesday.
So if you guys want, I would look up, they call it Dial Code Santa Claus at the Alamo Draft House and see if it's showing near you if you want to see it at the theater. It might be a fun holiday horror movie to go check out. Well, holiday thriller at the very least. Whatever you guys want to argue with me about. By the way, you don't have to wait, though, to watch it at Alamo Draft House. You can actually watch it on Shudder right now.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It's on Shudder.
Yeah, just in case you guys want to see it. It's called Deadly Games on the Shudder app. So, or the Shudder on Amazon. So if you want to look for it, just go into the new films that have been added recently, or the recently added tab, and then you'll find it in there. It's like a black picture with a kid like standing there. It's kind of hard to see.
Yeah, that cover is kind of weird.
It isn't the greatest cover. I could see what they were trying to go for, but it just didn't work. There's another cover that they did for Deadly Games that looks way better. So we do have some trivia. There's really not much to go on here, guys. So this is the spoiler section that we're going to get into and then talk about some of our favorite scenes and then move on to the next movie. So this movie won Best Director and Best Film at the 1990 Fant Festival. So it won some awards for this.
Where's that? Fan festival?
I think it's probably in France.
Oh. Yeah, that would make sense.
I think they changed the name, though, for it. I don't
okay.
remember. Also, in 2018, the film had its North American premiere at the Fantastic Fest in Austin, Texas, after being restored by American Genre Film Archive, apparently, too. So it wasn't just the German release. I don't know why we haven't seen a copy of it on Blu-ray, and maybe it's just because there's so many fucking names that I can't find it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, what do you want to call it? You know? So, but that's pretty much it. I mean, I looked up other stuff. I thought some of the more interesting stuff I've already told you.
Right.
So, like the kid being in visual producer, like a visual
I thought
effects.
that was, especially on Avatar and stuff,
right.
I
Like,
thought that was awesome.
how weird, right?
Yeah.
So, what were some of your favorite scenes? Like, what was like one of the earliest ones? Do you want to talk about the scene that freaked you out first? The crazy Santa Claus
So when the
guy.
crazy Santa Claus broke into the mansion, the first thing that, of course, happened was the dog started going frantic and started attacking him.
Right, because the kid fell asleep under the table, and his mom was like, don't stay up. You don't want Santa to see you.
Yeah, if you see Santa...
he'll turn into an ogre.
Yeah, and which I think is kind of funny, because... that's probably what happened. But of course, the dog came up, started barking at him. So what did he do? He picked up the dog and he broke its neck, and then he just
He
threw
chucked it on the ground and then stabbed it in the neck with a fucking cake slicer.
Yeah, and they really from what I remember,
Serving cake thing, whatever it is.
Oh yeah, a pie.
It's like it looks like a spade. Yeah, it's pie server.
A pie
Thank
server.
you.
Yeah, that was fucked up.
And it was dark, man. I was
really
like, what the fuck?
And the dog was like. You know,
yeah,
God,
it was
I
a
hate
little
that
jarring for kids. Even I would think that'd be a little much, you know. Like even for adults, that's like something that makes them squeamish a little bit. If you're a pet owner,
right?
You know what I mean? Unless
Right.
you're some cold, heartless piece of shit. No, I'm kidding. There's some people out there it just doesn't affect, but for me, it definitely does.
Some people literally don't like animals,
Oh yeah, I mean it's fine as long as they're not doing anything to them. I don't give a shit.
right.
Yeah, if you're out there murdering animals, let me know, and I'll come to your house and beat the shit out of you. Fucking stomp on your head until it pops.
I thought the music in this movie was interesting. There was in the beginning when the kid was playing and stuff, they were playing this Eye of the Tiger song. I don't think it was Eye of the Tiger, but it sounded like Eye of the Tiger.
Definitely.
It was like an Eye of the Tiger Christmas song.
Yeah, it's like they brought it down like a note and then did a different version of it. And then it was actually an actual song.
Yeah,
like
it was.
somebody somewhere
Recorded
heard
that.
Eye of the Tiger and then wanted to create something like it, but get away with it. I don't think it was like a song they made up for the movie.
Oh, okay.
Because the guy starts
That makes
singing
sense.
on it later. I remember that.
Yeah, he did start singing on
Yeah,
it.
but yeah, that dog scene, and then later on in
Yeah.
the movie, they have that scene where he's carrying his dead dog, and its tongue is all hanging out.
Yeah, and then I was like, oh my God, is that real? Is that did they kill the dog for real?
Dude,
what?
I have to
It
talk
looked
about this
real.
scene. This is the thing that really fucking sold me on this. This is where I was kind of losing it. So Santa eventually chases him through the house and cuts the boy on the leg. And that's when he escapes and Merry, Merry Christmas, sad song comes
right.
on. Yeah, the sad song plays again and again, over and over, by the way. And he uncovers his wound, okay? And it's like, ooh, don't touch it, you know? And then he bites down on his own belt. Like he's fucking Rambo, dude.
That was a good
Dude,
scene.
when that happened immediately, and it didn't stop there. That's the best part. It keeps going, dude. And I was fucking rolling, man. Like, that was where I was like, I love this movie. Just for this scene alone. And then he, bites down on the belt, and then he applies alcohol to a rag, like any 10-year-old would, of course. And then he breaks a chair leg, makes a splint for his leg because it's hurt.
Yeah, that was kind of
like ingenious,
yeah,
right?
I was like, damn.
Well, it's written by an adult, so
Right.
let's
Well, yeah,
put that into account. It's not like he's really that smart. And then he carries his dead dog with its tongue hanging out, like they knocked it the fuck out so that they could do this scene, guys. Like, no joke.
It was creepy.
It was knocked out. It was
that's
a little
really
much
what I
for
was
us.
like, what?
But he carries his dead dog to the basement to bury it, and it's like, Merry Christmas. And then he puts his hand on the dirt after burying it.
That's right.
And he grabs fistfuls of dirt and screams, Merry Christmas, and the fucking happy music, sad music. And it's like, oh my God, that is like, I was like, immediately, I remember turning to you going, this is one of the best things I've ever seen. If there's no other reason to own or watch this movie, that fucking scene in particular is just fantastic. So
That's funny.
Did you have anything? Oh, do you remember the fucking grandpa and the kid when they get into their car and it won't start? So like Santa starts wrecking the shit out of the car.
Oh yeah.
And then he won't run him over. I'm like, fuck that.
Yeah.
Run him over.
I don't know.
But that was a cool scene.
That was frustrating.
That was a cool scene,
it was
though.
a cool scene.
He's like, Grandpa, roll up the windows. And they're like, oh, my God. Ho, ho, ho. He's smashing the fucking mirrors and banging on the hood. And really, the weird thing is that this guy, like, finally, when he gets the kid, I forget what he does to him. Does it when he cut his leg? He finally catches up to the kid and gets the kid in a compromising situation. He's like, tag.
Oh,
he's like, now it's your turn. Chase me.
Yeah, and he didn't try to kill him or anything.
Right.
It was
like,
weird.
it wasn't about him killing the kid. It was about him. He just wanted to play with the kid because nobody played with him.
But why didn't he play with the dog?
Well, he did. He stabbed the shit out of it and it went to sleep. Tag, you're it. But the dead dog didn't come back.
No, I forget how.
If he didn't kill the dog, we wouldn't have gotten the fistful of dirt to Merry Christmas and that.
Okay. No, I forget how the Santa Claus died. Didn't he die?
Well, yes, he does die, but we don't need to jump there just yet.
Okay.
Maybe. There is one scene where the kid preps for battle with toys fashioned into real weapons. Like he does a crossbow with tripwires on each side, and Santa gets like the darts in his neck. He does a toy grenade filled with gunpowder and marbles, like, which is like kind of ingenious and like kind of endearing in that weird way. And he puts it on the back of that toy train, triggered to blow when because it's like a wind-up toy, and when it gets taut enough, like the line, it lights the fuse. But Santa picks it up and then winds it back up and sends it back to the kid, remember? And Grandpa's in the fucking suit of armor, and he's like no. So
ridiculous.
And Santa prevents the kid from stopping the toy, and it blows up, and like everybody's burned and shit. Like fucking, I don't know. It's pretty wild. And like, for some reason, this castle has this like insane basement where there's a plane in it. Like, how the fuck did they get that plane in there? You know what I mean? Like, because apparently this kid's dad is dead. Like he was in the war or something like that. And that's why he's like infatuated with war. You know what I mean? Like, that's why he's so into it, because his dad was in the military.
Right.
And I guess that's why there's a plane down there.
Maybe it's the plane he died in.
There's some really cool shots in this, though.
There is.
Like, they got those, like, sort of angled, like, off-skew kind of shots in this. Like, it's all, like, on a set. You can tell. But it also kind of adds to some of the charm, I think, you know? But, yeah, Santa does die. Do you remember how?
No, I don't remember how.
Really?
Yeah, I don't remember the ending for some reason.
Well, they think he's dead at first, remember?
Right. Okay, yeah.
And because, like, he finds the gun, the kid finds the gun, and he shoots him, and they think he's dead, but he's not dead. And then Grandpa shoots him in the head or something.
Oh, okay. It was the grandpa who did it. Okay.
Yeah, didn't he shoot him?
Yeah, I think so.
And he's like blind, so they had that whole
he was like blurry, like, oh,
I
bang,
can't see.
bang.
Yeah, like, why aren't you wearing your fucking glasses?
Why didn't you get some goddamn Lasix?
Right. And then it's like, Merry Christmas. As Santa's like reaching for the wall. Like, I don't know what the message of this fucking movie is that cowboys don't let your crazy kids grow up to be Santa. Like, what the fuck is the message here?
I don't think there was one.
It's just a story of like growing up, I guess. Like a coming of age tale.
It's a coming of age.
Yeah, Santa murderer
Claus,
kid.
yeah.
And Santa, like, you throughout the whole fucking movie, guys, like, if you've seen it, you know that you see all these bodies everywhere. They never really show you like what happened.
Oh yeah.
But you just maybe like a little tiny little streak of blood on their face and then just laying on the floor.
Yeah, it was
Because he
weird.
kills all the fucking help at the house next door where apparently they keep all of Grandpa's fucking insulin, which seems to be a problem in the movie.
That was weird. Or they ran out of it in the main house, and the kid had to run down to the.
He's all beaten on Grandpa's chest. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
When after they kill Santa, he's all beating on his chest. He rips off all the fucking armor from Grandpa because Grandpa does a fucking face plant on the fucking concrete floor inside of the armor, which goddamn, that must have fucking hurt.
Right.
Regardless if you're in a diabetic coma or not.
Right.
And then he fucking sticks him in the chest with the fucking syringe. Nothing short of fucking what's the fucking movie you're not a fan of?
Oh, Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, it's not that bad. And then he starts beating on his chest like fucking what's his name in fucking The Abyss. Live, damn you, live! You've never backed out from anything in your life, so live! It was just really weird. You could see like Grandpa like, all right, kid, you're fucking hurting me.
Yeah,
Like
get the
as an
fuck off
actor,
of me.
I'm hurt. You're banging on my chest. But yeah, I really like this movie. I thought it was fun. It's weird because
good.
it's not something I would watch. I would watch every year for Christmas, but I may skip it every now and then.
Yeah.
So it's like just right on the cusp, of
Right.
a great film.
Right.
But definitely unique. So if you guys have Shudder, sign up, whatever, do a free trial. You can watch it there.
Let us know what you think.
Yeah, I would love to hear if you guys have seen this. Most of the people I've been telling people about it, they're like, what the fuck is this? And I'm like, yeah, it was on Shudder and I didn't even fucking know. It's like, but we do have another movie that we were going to talk about today that is kind of a holiday movie. Well, it takes place during the holidays.
Right. Christmas Eve.
And that movie is...
Dead End from 2003. On Christmas Eve, on his way to his in-laws with his family, Frank Harrington decides to take a shortcut for the first time in 20 years. It turns out to be the biggest mistake of his life.
Do tell.
Written and directed by Jean-Baptiste Andrea. I think I might have said that wrong. Sorry.
No, you're right. John Baptiste and Andrea.
Right. And also written and directed by Fabrice Canepra. They're obviously both French and
Or I don't know. Could be Italian. I don't know.
no, they're French.
Okay.
And they've also they've written other French screenplays together, but this pretty much was the only movie that really took off.
So really, we're watching French holiday horror.
Yes, pretty much. All right, the movie stars.
Well, they did movies like Big Nothing, Brotherhood of Tears. Plus, he wrote Hellphone.
What's Hellphone?
I don't know, but not much more.
Oh, okay.
And then Fabrice is also a male, I'm assuming, because it said he. Who has only done this aside from a few documentaries and extras. So
the movie stars Ray Wise, who's the dad, Frank. He's most known for playing Leland Palmer from Twin Peaks.
yeah, who cries a lot.
The original Twin Peaks.
Well, everybody cries in that fucking show.
Yeah. Also, more recently, he was the voice of Commissioner Gordon in The Killing Joke, that
Right,
animated
yeah. Mm-hmm.
movie from a couple years ago.
He was also in Jeepers Creepers 2.
That's right. And he's been on he's a working actor. He's been on a shit ton of TV.
He's
and
supposed to be in
films.
that Tom Savini fucking Nightmare City reboot that's probably never going to happen now, that they've funded and then didn't get funding for and then stopped funding it. Sucks, dude. I was kind of looking forward to that. But and he did Young and the Restless.
Yeah, for a bunch of years.
Mad Men, I think, too. Yeah, he was on that show.
Also, Lynn Shaye, who plays the mom Laura. And of course, she's been in all the Insidious movies.
Right.
And she's also been in a shit ton of stuff like before we were even born.
Yeah.
I didn't realize she had a master's of fine arts in acting, and she's done a bunch of Broadway.
Oh, I didn't know about the Broadway thing, but yeah, she was also in a lot of comedies.
Right.
She was the roommate in There's Something About Mary.
Right.
She was in Kingpin,
Right.
which is a Coen Brothers movie, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't remember, but it's like she's the one I always remember because Woody Harrelson and her have sex because he can't afford the rent. And he's like, and she's like, I think you jawed something loose, Tiger. And he's like, she's like, oh, cut it out. It wasn't all that bad. And he's like,
That's pretty funny.
but she was also in Nightmare on Elm Street.
Right.
She was a teacher.
That's right.
Yeah.
Brief part.
Yeah, she was in one of the older ones too. I think it was Freddy's Dead. Or one of the ones where they go back. I don't know. I think it's Freddy's Dead that she was in too. I don't remember.
Wasn't she in a Creep Show? Remember we saw her? She was like a cashier, like split second. Because I remember we watched.
They would have put more light on her if it was her. I don't remember.
Okay, I don't remember.
I can't
either.
remember what you're talking about.
Okay. Anyway, moving forward, also starring Alexandra Holden, who plays Marion, the daughter. She was in Drop Dead Gorgeous, and she was in The Hot Chick.
Yeah, with Rob Schneider.
Right. I don't remember that movie.
Yeah, she was also in Ed TV.
Right.
Also stars Mick Cain, who was the Richard the Son. He's had a career that had a few long patches of not acting, but he's been in The Bold and the Beautiful TV show, The Contract, White Wolves 3, Cry of the White Wolf. Never heard of that. And a few more. It also stars William Rosenfeld, Brad the boyfriend. He was in Mind Games, Zombievers, and Big Nothing.
Oh, he was in Zombievers?
Zombievers? Yeah, no, definitely he was. I don't remember him in there, but I do vaguely remember his face and seeing it recently.
Yeah, he has a very common type of face.
I don't know. It just seemed familiar.
Right.
Also, there is one last role that I'll mention. It's Amber Smith, and the reason I want to mention this is she played the lady in white in this movie. She was in Howard Stern's Private Parts, L.A. Confidential. She had a big part in that. And American Beauty and How High.
Oh.
But she didn't really do that much more. L.A. Confidential is probably her biggest role.
Uh-huh.
Do you remember that movie?
No.
Oh, well, it's a pretty big movie. But so was there a budget? Did you find anything out about it?
Yeah, the budget was $900,000.
Really?
Yeah.
Where did you find that? On IMDb?
I think it was IMDb.
Yeah, because I looked it up on Wiki. It didn't even say there.
Did it?
Mm-mm.
Well, it said on there, which I was kind of surprised because I was like, oh, that's kind of a low budget, huh?
Yeah, it definitely is.
Yeah, I was like, wow, they wouldn't even give him $1 million?
Well, this is a straight to DVD or straight to video movie. They called it straight to video back then before digital, but it was straight to DVD and, VHS and shit like that. I only think it's ever come out on DVD because I heard somebody was mentioning that they wanted it to come to Blu-ray and they wish it had. And I was like, yeah, I only have the DVD. But it did $77 million in DVD sales.
That's crazy.
That's insane.
Yeah.
So this was a high renter buyer when
Right.
it came out. And I remember when it first came out. So that's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, like you mentioned, it's made in France and apparently put out by Lionsgate. So that's probably why it got some sort of big, wide distribution.
Oh, because Lionsgate.
Right.
Yeah, because at that
This
time,
was at
they
that
were
time.
big.
Right.
Yeah,
This is when they
big
were
at that
blowing
time.
the fuck up.
Yeah.
So pretty sure this was, around the time that did pop off for them. So.
Right. So was this your first time seeing this movie?
It sure as fuck was.
Oh, it was. Oh, what'd you
No,
think?
no, I'm kidding.
Oh.
I already said it didn't. I was just trying to fuck with you.
Oh, I don't remember.
Well, I actually really do enjoy this movie. This is a movie that I remember exactly when it came out. I remember where I was living and everything like that because I thought it was like a really cool indie gem. It's a pretty decent concept for its budget, like about a dysfunctional family that's on the road for Christmas Eve to visit more family, a very long drive apparently, and when suddenly things go from bad to worse and they find themselves trapped on a drive of their lives. Lots of ridiculous dialogue.
Yeah.
And unintentional comedy fill the screen, although it might have been intentional. I don't know. But we found ourselves pretty much laughing at very inappropriate times in this movie, and I always have. Like, there's a scene where I can't say, but we'll talk about later on. If you haven't seen this movie, you should check it out. I think you can rent it on oh, no, it was on Prime. It was on Prime.
It was on Prime.
That's right. So you can, if you have Prime on Amazon, you can watch it right away. The story gets really wild as it unfolds, and it has a very odd soundtrack to it. The score is cool, but the soundtrack is just a little, just felt off to me, and it didn't seem like it fit the style of the film. Just like a jarring sort of generic rock sound for the tone of the film, almost as if it wasn't to be taken seriously. You know, perhaps if they would have taken it more seriously, it might have gotten a little bit more tension than the like weird, abrupt, sudden jamming of rock music. Like,
Yeah, it was weird.
I don't know. I was like, was this in the original DVD? Because we watched it on Prime in HD, and then she was like, we'll have to go back. And I went back to the DVD. Yeah, because I wanted to see if there's any extras, and they didn't have any. But yeah, it was the same on the DVD. So.
Oh, okay. It was weird.
Because the movie's like, it tells this little tiny thing that happens, and then all of a sudden it's like, it's like, what the fuck? Anyway, I think it would have helped it if it would have been a little bit more taken seriously in the musical like soundtrack department, in my opinion. Even still, the movie offers a sort of a kind of an anthology style short in a feature form. So this is like some people have compared it to Twilight Zone and things like that, and I totally agree. Like, I feel like that's immediately what I thought of. And when I went to like Wiki, there was some people who had said when it came out that it was like a Twilight Zone short in the form of a movie, and I'm like, that's totally,
that makes sense.
That's totally how I felt, because it is a very big, small concept,
right?
That they stretch out over an hour and a half.
Yeah, I agree.
For the better or worse, it could be good or bad for some of you. There's a lot of scenes in this movie that make you wonder what the fuck is actually happening. You sort of pick up on it, some while later. If you've never seen the movie, you pretty much won't even understand. But there is a twist, but you won't find that twist out until the end. If you are a fan of these smaller ideas brought to feature film format, I'm sure you can enjoy this one. I do, and I have for many years now, so it's definitely a notable mindfuck kind of movie mixed with some pretty decent cast. Well, two in particular, Lynn Shaye and Ray Wise.
Right.
Which, to be clear, it's not exactly their best performances ever, but it's still good to see them in it. It's definitely not their worst.
Right.
And specifically with Ray Wise, because I've seen him in some not so good roles. It's not that he's not a good actor. It's just, I don't know, whatever weird thing he has sometimes just does not work.
Or he's not directed well or something.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe he's one of those ones that need to be told and isn't like a method actor.
Very guided.
Yeah. I'm sure he's really good. I'm not saying he's not, but
Right.
A lot of the characters are pretty fun. They all bounce off each other pretty well. It's kind of a mixed bag at times when it comes to the acting moments. So you're going to have some moments you're like, ooh, that just does not feel right. But some of the reactions they have and the arguments that ensue in this dysfunctional family are pretty outstanding. That's what I love about this movie, is there's just some fucking wild shit that happens all of a sudden. And you're like, what the fuck? And Lynn Shaye in it is fucking hilarious. Like, seeing her lose her shit in this movie is probably
it's pretty good.
One of the best things about the movie, honestly. The boy kid is a little annoying most of the time, but he has his moments that are okay. The daughter, she has a funny moment, and she's also kind of annoying. Ray, I thought, was pretty spot on, exactly how he should have played it. Lynn Shaye over-exceeded her, she's great. She played the mom role really well.
Right, she really did. Even them as a couple was good.
You tend to put yourself in the roles of each of the characters, wondering what the hell would you do if this situation happened to you? And a lot of the characters do shit that you're like, wait, what? No, I wouldn't do that. So it kind of is a little off-putting at times in that respect, but it's not too... Like, I think you can kind of get into the flow of the movie and just kind of expect it as like a spook house kind of ride and just like experience these little fun moments, I mean, most of the cast does lose their shit, so it is kind of enjoyable in that regard. So if you like thrillers with like a small idea made big, you should be able to get into this as well, I think. If not for that, at least some of the funny scenes you'll have seen in this movie that will make it a pleasurable experience. So I would say this one as well, I think is probably like a 7.5.
Oh, wow.
7.5.
Yeah.
Somewhere in there, yeah. It kind of went down a little bit from when I last saw it, but me and you did have a good time enjoying it.
We did have a good time watching it.
And we do have a lot of scenes that we wrote down, I noticed. More than we did with
the other
Deadly
one.
Games, yeah.
Which I think is funny.
What about you, though? What did you think?
I thought Dead End was okay.
Okay, really?
It's funny you mentioned the music, because that was one of my pet peeves, too. It almost sounded like it's not the music they intended for the movie.
Yeah, it was really weird.
Yeah, it was really weird. Like they wanted something else, but they didn't get the rights, so they they went to like stock music or something. I don't know.
Like the score in the movie, not the soundtrack, was okay. It wasn't like noticeable,
the score,
but it fit.
Right.
But the soundtrack. Oof.
Yeah, but the music, the actual music, sounded like it should have been like a soundtrack. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think they were trying to go for that like 90s style.
Yeah.
Because that was really popular in the 90s, is to
Right.
try to make like a soundtrack that everybody would want to listen to.
Yeah, but it was almost like a monotone.
Didn't it feel like a 90s movie?
Yes, it did. It felt
So-
like, and it's funny too, 'cause even though it was 2003,
Right.
like, you know how you are about the 80s movies, like I'm that way about late 90s, early 2000 movies. I really like them, and I can't believe I've never seen this one.
Yeah.
But I just thought it was okay. It is very, very 90s. Their clothes, her makeup.
Yeah.
That was the first thing I noticed. I was like, dang, her makeup and hair. That's totally her early 2000s.
Yeah.
And the son's necklace, his raver necklace, we were making fun of his his raver necklace and raver shoes. It was pretty
Well,
funny.
because we used to rave, guys, just back in the
that's
day. Yeah.
So we owned the necklace, and we owned.
Back in my day, we used to take 70 pills of ecstasy. Kidding.
Well, I didn't like the females in the movie. It was just weird how they reacted to things. They went into shock, and then they went into
Yeah,
like
because women are
crazy.
weak.
You know,
You
that
can-
is not where I was going with this.
I just wanted to see what your
Well,
reaction.
the guys, especially the son, was just like oblivious and didn't give a shit about anything.
Well, he was the only one that was on to anything. Like, nobody else wanted to believe anything was happening, and he was
Right.
like, "Oh, it's aliens," or whatever the fuck. But go ahead.
whatever he was saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, the dad was just a dad. He just wanted to, get on with it, solve the problems.
No, but I mean, like, if you think about it, though, like, maybe that is a very tired trope that the women always lose their shit. And
No, but that's not what I'm saying, though. What I'm saying is, it's weird that, especially the daughter, she went into a state of shock and wouldn't talk. I just thought it was weird how when she went into shock and didn't talk, and then she went into a hysteria, and then the daughter was like calm and collected and knew what was going on. I thought those three stages they didn't fade well into one another. I thought it was weird.
Okay.
Also, like the mother going through her segments too was weird. But again, her going into the massive craziness.
Yeah.
That was probably worth the whole movie.
Yeah, it is pretty funny.
Yeah, it was pretty good. But yeah,
It is very unintentionally funny in a way, but also funny, like, out loud. I don't know. It just seems like you shouldn't be laughing,
right.
but you are.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But overall, I thought it was just okay.
So what, you give it like a 5 or a 6?
Yeah, I'd give it like a 5.56, I guess.
Really?
Yeah.
Ah, seemed like you're enjoying it a lot more than I thought, I guess.
Well, I think it's because the end, I won't say anything, the
Kinda
end
pissed you
kind
off.
of pissed me off.
Yeah, it seems a lot of movies seem to lose 1 or 2 points from most people by the end. It really does kind of like make a difference how it ends.
And really, it could have ended well.
Well,
if
you
they
didn't
would've
understand what it was, and we'll get into that a little bit.
Yes, I did.
Not when we first watched it, because I had to explain it to
No,
you.
No, exactly. Not until they got to the end. But then they have that whole stupid thing that we'll talk about later, and that's what pissed me off.
Okay, that
just
thing.
That
yeah, you know what that thing,
1
guys.
minute. There's a 1 minute, 2 minute thing that happened, and I was like, this is fucking stupid. Why did they even leave this in the movie? This makes no sense. This is stupid. 5 out of 10.
Wow. Well, we did have some trivia, so this is going to be the spoiler territory for you guys who don't want anything spoiled. But yeah, I thought it was a pretty decent film. And if you're interested, it's up on Amazon Prime to watch if you have Amazon Prime. If not, I'm sure you could find it to rent on one of the streaming sites. But yeah, the trivia on this apparently there's not much at all, and I didn't have anything on the DVD, so I was a little disappointed about that because I was going to sit down and make an afternoon of it before we recorded, and it just didn't happen. But in the opening scene, the father, played by Ray Wise, of course, mentioned shock rocker Marilyn Manson as Marilyn Bronson. Remember?
Yeah, I remember. Why did they use Bronson?
I don't know, because they're trying to make fun of him because he's old. He's a boomer,
okay.
Whatever.
Oh, like no malarkey?
Yeah. No, it's no malarkey here.
It's Marilyn Malarkey.
Come on down to the voting polls, the voting stations, and be a part of America. It's no malarkey. Sorry. I'll stop being political. Anyway. It's just so stupid.
Silly.
Anyway, so yeah, the father, he talks about Marilyn Bronson. He's like, it's Marilyn Manson, Dad. And he's like, well, I don't know her name. And he's like, it's a he, not a she. And he's like, what the world's coming to. And that's when it's like, dead. Like, what?
Yeah, that was weird.
It just didn't feel like it had the punch to like open up the movie. You know what I mean? Like it seems like an afterthought more than it was a.
Right.
They're like, well, we'll just cut it here and make a beginning or something. Anyway, the funny thing is that Marilyn Manson has a song titled "Wrapped in Plastic," which was inspired by a line in the television show Twin Peaks.
Wrapped in plastic.
Yeah, which starred Ray Wise.
Right.
As Leland Palmer, the father of Laura Palmer, who her body was found wrapped in plastic in the opening moment of the show.
Wrapped in plastic.
So it's just, there's someone tying it together there on IMDb.
It was good.
But I'll say one little bit of trivia. Well, it doesn't really matter. At the very end of the credits, there's a message that says, to everyone still with us at the end of these credits, thank you. God bless you. You sure do like movies.
That's good.
No, they probably just woke up from a fucking drunken coma.
Where am I?
Yeah, where am I?
You're welcome.
Why am I in my own urine and fecal? Fecal?
Fecal? That's no malarkey.
Yeah, no malarkey here. Have you ever woken up in a bottle of your own urine and your own fecal?
You should call this the No More Larky episode.
Those goddamn flappers. That's the 20s.
Well, it is the 20s. It is the 20s.
The roaring 20s.
It's the roaring 20s.
Of the 2020s. You're out of control.
So what were your favorite seats?
Well, the first one that kind of brought me into it.
The first one, you mean there's more than one? No, I'm just kidding.
There's numerous that we had in here, but there's the scene where the baby carriage rolls out, like they stop. Because essentially what has happened, guys, for those of you who've seen the movie, we can spoil everything now.
Okay.
In my opinion, I mean, obviously, it's not an opinion, really. It's kind of fact, because they explained it by the end of the movie. Mm-hmm. They got in a car accident when he fell asleep. Period. And they died. And they're in purgatory. And the black hearse that keeps following them around is taking them to their destination, which is heaven or hell. Mm-hmm. And they're all screaming in the back, which is so cool. Yeah, I thought it was kind of cool.
That was cool. Yeah,
I remember them chasing it and like running up on the back end, but I don't remember. It was maybe I was getting it confused with fucking Phantasm.
I didn't get that feeling at all.
I think I was getting it confused with Phantasm.
It's almost like they were running after it, and they were just like, oh, it's too much work.
Yeah.
Let's get back in the car.
Well, they run into a baby carriage in the middle of the road. One of those old, like, 50s, like, 30s, like, fucking baby carriages that are all black that nobody ever uses anymore.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? The ones that, like, sit up really high so the baby's, like, up to your chest. And it is a little unnerving at that point because they're like, what the fuck? Then Richard the son gets out while the mom is saying, don't go check it out, which Lynn Shaye is totally right. The mom is totally right. Don't get out. Fucking drive around that shit.
Right.
I would, like, think it's a trap, like someone's trying to fucking steal our car.
I would have hit it.
Yeah, just, like, run it over and kick a baby up in the air.
The fuck is a baby carriage in the middle of fucking night
really?
on Christmas Eve, sitting there, like, not doing anything, just run it over. There's nothing in it.
Sure you would, Christina.
Only homeless people carry those things anymore.
Christina, nobody would fucking hit a baby carriage, okay?
I did a baby.
You would drive around that motherfucker like it was a dog, okay?
Yeah, that's something else they could have done is drive around it. But anyway.
But yeah, she's telling him not to go out and check it out. And fucking while they're arguing, the father and the mother are arguing, fucking Richard, the son, gets out and just like walks out and she's like, Richard, no! Richard, no! And he reaches in and acts like he's being sucked into it. And he's like, oh my God. And they're all screaming in the car. I thought it was kind of funny. I don't know. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember that. I wasn't amused by it. I thought it was stupid.
It is stupid, but that's why I laughed.
Goddamn teenagers.
Yeah, but that's why I laughed.
Immature comedy. Of course you laughed. No, just kidding.
Wow. Well, now. Here we are.
I'm funny.
Oh, you're going to hear it now.
You should laugh. So, towards the end, when the dad started going crazy, when it was just him and the daughter.
Right.
They stopped at that, what do they call it? The shed?
Yeah, it's like they call it a ranger station.
Yeah, that's pretty much when he started going insane. I really liked him going crazy. Oh, God.
Swinging an axe
I didn't
around.
like him hitting the daughter, but
it was funny.
But he really reminded me of Jack Torrance.
Oh.
With him going crazy like that.
I don't know.
Just that scene.
That's a kind of a stretch. I don't
know. Well, I just said it just reminded me. I'm thinking maybe he pulled that as like inspiration.
Okay. I mean, I'll just say yes because I just don't.
You don't have to agree with me.
This movie is not on that level.
I just wrote it down because I'm not saying it's that fucking shining. God no, I gave it like a 5. I'm just saying that one particular part, his acting,
all right.
reminded me. That's all.
I disagree.
All right.
And let's move on. I'm just
all
kidding.
Right. What else? What else? Should we talk about that?
No. I got a scene.
Okay.
And this before that because you went way ahead. They keep driving with no exit in sight, of course, because they're on the road to the purgatory, where they just keep passing the same spot and there's no exit. And it's like they're trying to figure out, oh, well, maybe it's a military road or something like that. And then there's a tire that pops, and Marianne, the daughter, once they slam on the brakes, she's like snaps out of her like crazy like
the
shock.
And
she's like, I'm pregnant. And then Richard's like, I smoke pot. I thought that was funny because he's like, well, shit, this is the best time to say I smoke pot.
I think they already knew he smoked pot, though.
And she's like, you smoke pot, Richard? No. And he's like, where did he go? He's like, I don't know. God damn it. I don't. She probably went off to smoke pot or something. And he's like, oh, no. What is he doing? And he's like, oh, Marion, it's just pot or whatever the fuck it is. It's pretty funny to me.
That was pretty funny.
This is a little fun little thing there, but then he goes out, and he does actually go smoke pot, he gets his mouth ripped off by that naked woman that they passed on the road the first time. Remember, like Ray Wise's character, the dad, sees a a lady carrying a baby on the side of the road and slams on the brake. And then she shows up and they give her a ride and they're like, we'll give you a ride. And then the daughter decides out of the blue to just walk down the road in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, that was weird. I'm like, what? Just go sit in the trunk.
Well, the second time you see her is when he goes into the woods to smoke and jerk off to a fucking nudie magazine in the middle of the fucking...
That he's carrying around in his pocket.
Right. Like, what the fuck? And then he gets his mouth... He sees the lady and she kind of seduces him and then rips off his mouth. And then he, like, screams, and then they can't find him, and then his body shows up on the road later down the road because they just leave him.
Yeah.
Don't they?
Yeah.
Or they see the
boyfriend?
No, Richard.
Oh yeah. No.
Richard dies at that moment.
Yeah.
And then you hear him scream, and then you see the fucking hearse drive by with him in the back. And that's when they're like, oh my God, she did see a hearse, you know? But they chase him, and then they run over something while chasing the fucking...
That was Richard!
Yeah. And she's all... this is so funny to me. Lynn Shaye's character, the mom, is like, you see this corpse's hand just sticking up out of the road. They don't show the body, but they show the fucking mangled hand, and she's all hugging it, trying to put it around her neck like he's hugging her.
She was rubbing her face across the hand.
And she's like, I love you.
She's like nuzzling the hand that was up. It was so funny. So funny.
That was really funny.
But they put his body in the trunk.
Yeah, because they were going to leave him, and she's like, no, he's our son. We're going to bring him with me.
We can leave Brad, the boyfriend, but...
But when she loses it, man,
yeah, she's
like putting shotguns in her mouth and screaming, bang, bang, you're dead. So he's like, no, what's her name? Marion's the daughter.
Oh, no, Laura.
He's like, Laura, no! And then she shoots him in the leg, and she's like losing her shit the whole time, by the way. She's like eating pie and shit, and she's she's eating her pumpkin chocolate pie, and
she told him that Richard wasn't the son, like his biological son.
Oh yeah, he's Alan's son, like it's no big deal. And he's like, she's out of her mind. and then you find out that Alan was actually his best friend, and that they must have had sex or something like that or whatever. But yeah, but dude, there's just so many funny parts. She hops out of the car too. She's just like, nope, I'm leaving.
She sees her friend. She's like, oh, that's my friend. And then the dad's like,
yeah, because they keep seeing and hearing people in the forest.
Right. So she finally starts seeing him, and then she opens the door. She's like, I'm going to go see Janice.
Yeah. And he's like, what do you do? What do you mean? And he's like, nope, I'm gone. And you just see the door shut as she goes out.
It was like a Looney Tune or something like... It was so funny.
That shit cracked me up when I first saw it. That was her role in this movie. Really did make it memorable,
right? Like, and then both of them just bickering back and forth was really good.
I thought it was cool, like that she sees people in the woods. Kind of like adds to that whole purgatory feel. You know, like it's her time. Like they all have to come to grips with the fact that they're dead or something before they can be transported to their destination.
Thing. Yeah.
Let's talk about the end scene that you didn't like so much.
Oh.
Because they all find out that they're, pretty much, like, the daughter's, like, the only one that she...
The daughter ends up in the hospital. She wakes up in the hospital and remembers...
Yeah, but how did she get... What? Didn't she get hurt?
No, okay. So what happened was...
I forget now.
The daughter was in the street, and then the hearse starts coming by, and the daughter thought the hearse was coming for her.
Right.
And the lady in white shows up with a baby and...
Says it's not your time.
Yeah, she says, this isn't for you. He's not here for you. And the lady in white gets into the car.
Right.
Because it was there for the...
So somehow she was in purgatory, but she goes back.
Yeah, so I think she died, and then she came back to life.
Well, they said that she got ejected, and that was what saved her.
Right.
Is that she... I don't know how she got ejected, but she did.
Yeah, well, who knows?
Out the window, yeah.
Yeah. So she woke up in the hospital, and then you find out the doctor was the town they were looking for.
Right. Oh, that's right.
Right.
The doctor's name.
Right. So then this guy comes out of nowhere. This old goth guy comes out of nowhere and was asking about her, like, is she okay? Did she survive? Blah, blah, blah. And because I guess he's the guy who found them. Right? So,
well, it's technically... Death.
Well, yeah. So then comes out. They go to the parking lot, and he's driving the hearse. So the
Marcotte.
Yeah, Marcotte. That's the town's name.
Is Marcotte. I've never heard of Marcotte.
So this is the part that pisses me off.
Okay.
So the doctor comes out into the parking lot. Her car won't start.
He's like, car won't start.
Who gives a shit? Who gives a shit at this point about what's going on? So she gets out of her car, and then the hearse guy, the goth guy, the death guy, he's like, oh, you got something wrong with your car, you need a ride. So the doctor gets in the car with him and they drive away. What the fuck? Who gives a shit?
Well, I think
They could have just left it as, yeah, that's the doctor in the name. And yeah, that was the death guy and he has the hearse. Well, what is this scene?
Maybe
what does this mean?
Maybe
Alex?
they found that the guy, they wanted to really push the button that Death was there to pick him up, and that he's a benevolent kind of guy. So he wasn't like a bad person who was just trying to take these people away the whole time, because it's kind of scary when they get taken away in the fucking hearse because they're banging on the windows, screaming inaudibly.
But he's Death.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
his job.
It's just they're just trying to put a spin on it, like fucking Brad Pitt or something, where he's like fucking the Death, and then he's actually not such a bad guy, and then he's just doing his job, and then he's actually kind of like, charming, and you want to go have sex with him in the back of his fucking
hearse,
and then you ride his dick until sunshine, and then he fucking takes you back to the hospital, and then never talks to you again. You try calling him over and over
like
again,
real life,
but he doesn't call you back.
He doesn't
until
text
one
you back.
day she meets him again. She was in love with him, and then he gives up his life to live with her, but then gets hit by a car.
And then she got pregnant. She had a little death baby.
Who becomes the new driver of Dead End 2.
Yeah.
Sequel, hit us up. Producers, we got you. Anyway, so yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed it a little bit more. I think it's funny. I think it's a notable movie. It's definitely above average in my opinion. But yeah, I mean, it does kind of lean to a 7, but I think both of these movies for French movies are pretty good.
Yeah, they're both pretty good. Would you consider Dead End a Christmas movie?
Not in the traditional holiday horror sense, but
okay.
I do think because it takes place on Christmas Eve, it's a good opportunity for us to talk about a movie that I've wanted to do anyway.
Oh, okay.
So,
yay.
Yeah. It's a good, it's in the list of movies that you should check out for the holidays, but there isn't a lot of fucking cheer and holiday fucking whatever.
They have presents.
Right. There's better movies out there with that kind of thick, heavy portion of Christmas or whatever. They're not the best films, but they are not very bad at all. And I think anywhere between 7 and 7.5 is totally fair. Mm-hmm. I think it's probably, for her, it's obviously higher than what she would have given this movie, but I like it. I think it's cool indie. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, guys, that's pretty much it for this week. We I hope you enjoyed that episode. I hope you're able to get a chance to check out those movies. If not, let me know what you thought of them. If you've seen them, if you haven't, then would you like to see them? What's this week's code for listening to the end? See how many people actually listen.
You want to do bang bang?
Bang bang.
Bang bang.
All right. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for coming back. I hope you enjoyed the episode. We'll be back for next week with a new winner for the thing. So don't forget.
Box, VIP club.
If you haven't signed up for the VIP club and you're missing out, so sign up. Go to longlivethevoid.com and check out the VIP club section. So, but other than that, we hope that you have a great rest of the week. We'll catch you next week, guys. And as always,
long live the void.
Listening to Beyond the Void Horror Podcast. Tune in